But you hit on something else here, and let me know. You just throw the flag up when you have to go. You hit on something else. This idea that we are often as progressives jumped on because we see some redeeming values in the people on the right who have economic gripes, and they have gripes with how this system is working out. We're foolish enough, I think we're naive enough to think that we can convince them that the solution is a more progressive solution versus what they've been propagandized with for a very long time, to think that it's a more conservative solution. I think that might be some naivete, particularly for people like me. I think we can convince them. But from the identity politics side of that conversation, I know you've been jumped on for saying what you just said. Like, why would you go after these people who are racist? Why would you go after these people who are xenophobic? Why would you go after these people who want to ban Muslims? All so that you can get Bernie Sanders elected. What does that look like in your experience?
Well, it is. It's frustrating because, I do get jumped on for that kind of stuff. But like, here's the thing is when it comes to, if there's not very many progressives in this country. I mean, just in sheer numbers, if you do want to change anything in this country, you have to recognize that you do need to be able to reach out to other people besides liberals who speak your language. It's like in sheer numbers, we just don't make enough. We're not enough of the country to force what we want to happen. But on top of that, if we want things to change economically, it's like, you got to be able to organize people who want the same things you do in that sense. And so that's like, when it comes to class, that's an issue that the majority of people can organize around. I mean, that's kind of what socialism is all about, is when it comes to class, it's like class interests typically end up trumping everything else. No pun intended. But they do. And so it's really like, it's important to be able to reach out to those people because of that, because of the fact that they have a stake in wanting free healthcare. They have a stake in wanting rich people to pay more taxes. They have a stake in free education. And that's what's important, not to like try and convince them out of morals, but just the basic like everyday survival issues. There are similar stakes that we have. But beyond that, I think it's actually like, there's also like, if you don't want, so I think that neoliberalism is actually creates the conditions for fascism. It really does. It creates the conditions for hatred. It creates the conditions where you can divide people and really like help and appeal to their really worst sensibilities, which is what someone like Donald Trump is doing. And so I actually do fear that another 4 years of, or even 8 years of someone like Hillary Clinton, passing more trade policies that are detrimental to U.S. workers, and also lecturing. I mean, lecturing poor and working class white people about using proper language. It's just going to make them angrier, like it's the kinds of, and especially with her condescending like attitude towards things. I think it's really going to create conditions that can give rise to a demagogue even more dangerous than Donald Trump. And that's what I'm trying to convey and say when I say these things. I'm not trying to say that we should be reaching out to the KKK. That's like not, that's not my point here. But the point is that I do think that people, beyond what the media does show us, when it comes to the people who are supporting Trump, they are also supporting him for reasons that have a lot to do with reasons that people might support someone like Bernie Sanders. And it's because they're hurting economically, but in the case of Trump supporters, they haven't been given a framework for understanding their condition, because we don't really have a left in this country that has a big platform. And they've been fed, these stories by places like Fox News about why the economy is doing poorly. But like, when you offer a counter narrative to that, it can be powerful. And I think it's like, that needs to be understood. And maybe that's naive on my part, but I think that history actually shows us that, appealing to people's economic situations is a way to actually bring people together.
I think it's naivete, but I'm foolish enough to just be naive and still fight it anyway. I honestly believe part of the problem is that we have intentionally weak representations of progressivism in the media. And I use that phrase specifically because at first I thought they were weak just because they were weak. But I think at this point it's intentional because they don't want real strong progressive voices represented in the media. And you could see the classic case of Cenk Uygur being chased away from MSNBC because those counter narratives that really could latch hold into the minds of the common threads that we have with poor white working class people who tend to identify as conservatives, they don't want that solidarity to ever come about. And so for all of my life, and I'm guessing all of your life, all we've had is this watered down neoliberal economic version of progressivism, which is going to lead me to my last question here. Why aren't you